Zip, zap, zoodle.
Welcome to Timesink, the weekly podcast to let you know what's worth sinking your time into. I'm your host, Sauce, and I'm joined by Hummer.
I'm back, baby. We're back.
Tito is off this week, but we're also joined by Brad.
It's terrific to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
We got a great episode for you this week. This week, we're going to talk about the new Xbox Showcase, everything coming out for the Series X that we know about so far. We're also going to be talking about Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, Cursed, I Think You Should Leave, Unsolved Mysteries, and Halo Wars. So stick around and we're going to get right into it. So, Hummer and Brad, you guys got to see the Xbox Showcase. What did you think? You saw 1 or 2 minutes of it?
No, I watched the whole thing. You watched the whole thing, right?
Yeah, I was just joking.
Yeah. I mean, you probably could have gotten by with just watching 1 or 2 minutes of it because, I mean, this was a sour note in Xbox game development, in my opinion. I mean, they purchased tons of studios to try to compete with content that was only going to be found on Xbox. And, like, are you really excited about what they're pushing? They're pushing a new Tetris game. Like, that was a world premiere for them. All right, that's not good.
People love Tetris.
People can play Tetris on T90 whatever calculators still. You really want a new Tetris game for your Xbox Series X you just dropped $500 for, or your gaming computer that you just dropped $2,000 on?
Doesn't that prove people that need Tetris everywhere?
I mean, I think the whole idea behind it though wasn't necessarily like to showcase the games. It's more about showcasing what Xbox's strategy is going to be going forward, and that not only are a lot of these games going to be on Series X and they're going to be on Game Pass, but you're going to be able to play them before the Series X even comes out on your current hardware, which I actually think that's a really cool move by Xbox. It's kind of showing that they believe in the future of their ecosystem and their platform. It's almost like they're kind of taking a little bit of a page out of the Mac playbook, where we're going to get you locked into the ecosystem and you're just going to be stuck with Windows. Not that Windows is a bad platform, but I don't necessarily mind it because even if I choose not to upgrade to Series X right away, which isn't going to happen, at least I'm still like not stuck. Or if my friends decide they're not going to upgrade, we're still not stuck not playing with each other.
But that's what I'm saying. Do you feel like this is like a vote of no confidence in their console that they're about to push out? Because they're saying, you don't need to buy our console to play everything that we're going to put out because we're going to make it part of Game Pass. And you can play it on your computer or on your tablet or whatever else you really want. Whereas like the other ones are, no, buy our platforms, play on our platforms.
I'm going to agree with Hummer. I think they're optimizing for the future. So the Xbox isn't going to be the piece of hardware that's in your living room. It's going to be the gaming service that it's providing you. It's going to be Game Pass, all these new games coming out. You're not going to have to buy any of them. You just have your Game Pass subscription, $10, $15 a month, and you have access to the brand new Halo, the brand new Gears, your favorite game, Tetris, and all these new games that the 50 first-party studios that they bought are going to be cranking out. Yeah, I also agree with you, Brad. You're looking at it like these games that are coming out, you don't care about them. And yeah, PlayStation has the better exclusives 100%, but Xbox is setting themselves up to be, they're developing their streaming service, so you don't even need your box. You can play from your phone. I can play from my phone right now on my Xbox at work with my controller. It's not the best. They're working on it and they're getting there. You can play from your computer. We can cross-play from computer to Xbox. All you need is to have this subscription service, and they're just going all in on that. Yeah, they do need to have the games to back it up. I agree, but also Halo.
Well, we can't discount the fact that they did buy a few big companies too, like Obsidian, and Obsidian premiered a very cool looking RPG. The name escapes me at the moment,
Awoken or something.
yeah, something like that. It was just a pretty quick premiere, but it was very much built in that like fantasy, Lord of the Rings-esque environment, and like
Avowed.
Avowed, that's what it's called.
Yep.
The early stuff coming from Obsidian and from Microsoft Studios about this game are like, this game is the reason Microsoft bought Obsidian. This was the first thing they pitched to them, and they said, yes, we'll buy you because we want to make this game. So Obsidian, known for their RPGs, is probably about to drop a awesome RPG that will be exclusive to Game Pass and Xbox. So let's not discredit everything we saw at the showcase, but I think a lot of it was pretty low note stuff.
I mean, Stalker 2, I think, looks good. I don't know if they really showcased it too much, but you know, Valhalla, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is going to be on Xbox Series X. Like, you can't just they're just showcasing what was on Game Pass. They're saying like you're going to get all these brand new games on Game Pass. So buy our service for $16 a month after tax, and you will get access to all these games that you're not going to spend $60 just to try and play them. So, I mean, I think that's really what their point was, because they still have titles that are going to be released on Series X, but it's not going to be, you know, on the Game Pass, like more than likely like Battlefield 6, Assassin's Creed, what am I saying? Call to the Sea, Control, Cyberpunk. You know, these games aren't going to probably be released on Game Pass right away, so you're going to have to buy the title outright. So I really think that's what the showcase was all about, is really showing off their strategy. You know, what we were kind of talking when you disappeared there is, you know, yes, if you want exclusive, buy a PS5. If you want just about everything else, buy an Xbox, because you're going to be able to play all these great games, but you're not going to have to invest $60 at a time to do it.
Yeah, you don't need to buy. They're turning into a cell phone company. The games are the apps, and the box is the latest iPhone, right? You don't have to have the latest brand new iPhone to be able to run the apps, but if you want to run them the best possible quality, frame rate, sharpness, that's not a PC, Hummer, then you know you get the newest box. They're just setting themselves up for the future. Plus, Microsoft has something that Sony doesn't, and it's their ownership in the PC market. So they can just do everything hand in hand together. Sony's got what? Blu-ray players? What else is TVs?
They also produce entertainment.
Oh yeah.
They have their whole production company.
I mean, their movies. The Hotel Transylvania movies are good.
Part of me thinks that the whole idea of all this Game Pass and like being able to stream content like this really came from something Xbox tried to push when they first pushed out the Xbox One, which was the always online concept. And like I argued of why I liked that concept, because I thought this is what we were going to get, where you could start. I didn't even think about full ownership, but like you can rent and stream property of games over your always online system without having to go to GameStop. And like literally the main hope was to kill the used gaming industry that drove up the prices of games to where we are right now. Because the fact that you could go sell your games and then you could buy a used game at basically the same price as a new game was driving up costs. It had to. So I thought that always online program was the first step towards what we're getting now.
Funny you mentioned that, because I remember when they first came out, that always online concept, there was so much pushback to it.
They had to stop.
Yeah,
and I guess it was at the time. Maybe it just was. It's crazy to think that, because that was 2013, and I don't remember a time without having internet access readily available on me prior to like 2008. That we threw such a fit about it, and now I don't think anybody's throwing a fit about having an always-on console. But I mean, you can still see they still have a disc, an optical drive in their Xbox, which is funny because I don't own a single PC anymore except for my Xbox that has a disc.
Yeah, I haven't bought a disc anything in years.
What's a disc? Is that like an 8-track?
Just think, man, our kids are going to be asking what DVDs are. They're going to be asking what Blu-rays are.
Yeah, I have no DVD players in my house. But it sucks when the power goes out or when the internet goes down. Like
When the internet goes out, that's
we all,
when it sucks.
we all kind of just like look at each other and don't know what to do.
The internet never
You
goes
have to,
out,
like-
baby. Cell phones.
You have to like strategically download some things onto your devices, so when the internet goes down, you're like, well, at least we still have Avengers Endgame downloaded on my tablet or something, you know.
As everyone should on all of their devices, obviously.
Obviously.
But yeah, no, see, that's just Xbox ahead of the time again back then when they were trying to pioneer the always on. And that, yeah, the only time it sucks is when the power goes out or your internet goes out. But other than that, you know, if my Xbox would actually automatically update my games like it's supposed to, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that's, I think, the other cool part too, is the concept that they're putting in. It's basically buy the game once, never buy it again. Because I ran into that issue where I bought GTA 5 on Xbox 360 when it first came out. A year later, it came out for PS5, and I had to buy it again.
Mm-hmm.
And then
PS4,
not only
baby.
that, to add insult to injury, I had to restart the game. That sucked.
Yeah. I think Tito's bought Overwatch at least 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, because multiple consoles and stuff. Yeah.
I bought it twice.
He bought it for himself, and then he bought it for his cousin, and then his disc broke, so he digitally downloaded it. Then he bought it on Switch, so he could play it on Switch. Then he, for my birthday, gave me $50 and made me buy it on Switch, so I would play with him on Switch.
Wait till
That's great.
Xbox finds a way to just like get an app onto the PlayStation 5 platform, or get an app onto the Switch platform. And now all those are pieces of hardware.
I mean, they've released some of their own private games on a Switch. So like Cuphead, that was an Xbox first party studio just for Xbox exclusive, and then like years later, now you can play it on Switch. And I just saw that it was coming to PlayStation 4, so that was crazy. Also, they bought Minecraft too.
Well, they flat out said they don't want any more. They don't want any exclusives at all. And that's why I really thought that's cool, because it's frustrating now because of where we're at in the cycle of, you want to buy games, but it's like, do I buy them now? Do I wait? Now you don't have to wait. Just go ahead and buy it. Buy it today. Play it today. When your new Xbox arrives, re-download the new version, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah, that's amazing that game companies are doing that. Not all of them are doing that though, but a lot of the big ones are. So overall, what do you guys think? Did the Xbox, is it looking good for them after this showcase, or not so much?
Like I said, I thought the showcase itself was pretty bottom feeder lackluster. It had a couple of like bright spots here and there, maybe some interesting things, but I just thought for what they're pitching with their new console coming up, like that wasn't the stuff I got excited about. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about it. We've talked about this quite a bit, and Brett, I'm not sure if you subscribe to it, but we subscribe to Game Pass.
Oh, I'm on Game Pass.
We're all on Game Pass, and this was a way for them to get. There's only 10. Think about this. They said there's only 10 million Game Pass users, and that's less than half of the amount of Xboxes sold. So they're basically saying we need more. We want more people to join the service. The more people that do it, the better. Even more titles we can get to the point where that every title is on Xbox Game Pass. I don't think they want EA releasing a game off of it. So the more people, the merrier. But the other thing that stuck out to me too, they did actually do a little bit of hardware show-offiness. They were showing the game in 4K. I believe it was Halo Infinite, which we'll talk about in a minute. But they've also played that with a solid 60 frames per second. So you're going to see a noticeable increase in the performance of this, in the graphics, and just the smoothness of the way they look. And I'm assuming that the Xbox would have the ability, if you're playing on 1080, to even run that even more frame rates to get you into that 120 space. So it's going to really be able to use the hardware of the TVs and monitors that you're playing with.
Well, the Ori remaster that they premiered side by side, graphically was beautiful, and a game known for how stunningly graphic it is.
That's the thing for me. Well, first off, Halo Infinite. nothing else matters. That's going to be the game that's most important to me, and I'm sold on everything. But that's why I know I don't think there's any way I'm going to be able to play that game and not play it on the Series X. Like if I'm going to experience Halo Infinite, I'm going to have the new Xbox and play it on there. So, yeah, I'm excited for what Xbox is trying to do. So I agree with both of you. The games just, didn't grab me yet, but
Didn't hit you.
I think great things are gonna be happening. I think that the Xbox versus PlayStation war that's gonna happen at the end of the year is gonna be epic. But I'm just gonna sit there with my snifter of brandy and both of my systems, laughing at the
The plebes
the
who could only
plebes.
afford one, like me.
No, I didn't mean it that way. I budgeted.
You did.
See, that's the beauty. This might be the first time in the if Xbox, once it comes out and as we get closer to launch date, if in fact almost every title, if every title is going to be on PC available on Xbox Series X too, I'm not going to buy a Series X. I'm going to buy a PS5 because I have a PC already. So then I can still play with all my buds and I can get those great exclusives. So maybe that's the way where it backfires to Xbox. But guess what? Even if I don't buy it, they still get my $15 a month. They're happy.
They win.
They still win.
All right. So getting into what's hot this week. Brad, what do you got for us?
So I've been spending some time on a couple different things. The first thing I finally got my hands on Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, which is an action adventure RPG version of the original Dragon Ball Z storyline. Are you powering up, or are you saying how great it is?
That's the reaction anytime anything happens.
Yes, that is very anime reaction. So I've always considered, like, we're technically millennials, but we are part of a sub-millennial called the Toonami generation, where we grew up with Toonami. And we're introduced to probably a lot of our first animes in Dragon Ball Z, and this high-octane, action-packed group of heroes always fighting evil, Goku coming out on top, always a show of escalation and fighting and flashing lights that put us into epileptic seizures, and just was an amazing thing for us to have. And so it has so many followers in so many different areas. It was a huge show. And when we were watching it, the show had probably been out for like 10 years already, because the show was made in the 90s. So what this is, what Kakarot is basically a retelling of that full original storyline. And if you don't think that they pretty much hit every moment of the show, including the fillers, they do. Now, now I'm only about 15 hours in, which if you explored the open world the open world side of it as much as I did, because you are going to be bogged down in this open world side of the game that has a lot of fetch quests, which is like the downside of any open world RPG, is they give you content by like, go find this, go deliver this, go collect all these orbs, and that's how you power up. So yeah, that gets you bogged down. But then once you're in the storyline that you love so much, like, they do such a great job of balancing a really fast-paced fighting sequences that you play out that are really simple but really fast, with great new graphics of those big moments you remember from Dragon Ball Z. So 15 hours for me put me right in the heart of the Namek saga, currently fighting the Ginyu Force, which are some of the best characters in the game or in the show. Everybody loved the Ginyu Force.
The Ginyu Force is the best.
They're amazing. They were so comical yet so powerful at the same time that they were great. And there were so many little moments in that part of the saga that were fun. The whole frog transformation when you find out about the body swap from Captain Ginyu, and Raccoon's dumb things that he says while making his poses and stuff.
You do well.
You do well. It's just been so much fun. So if you are a fan of the Dragon Ball Z, you grew up for it, this is just an awesome way to kind of tap back into it. Now, with that being said, I do think that there are some drawbacks. I already mentioned the open world RPG side of it, having you bogged down in fetch quests and collecting orbs so you can level up your character through these like through menus like an RPG. And then there's also this very confusing side thing that they call the community, that it's based off of the other characters from the show and putting them on different boards so they give you bonuses. It's really confusing and you get bogged down into it. I think it's a low point of the game, but it's pretty essential. And then other things like cooking and things like that will get you bogged down and take you away from the action, which is what you want out of Dragon Ball Z.
But isn't that the spirit and essence of Dragon Ball Z? Dealing with a bunch of extra crap before you get to the stuff you really want to.
I mean, it is better than watching a half episode of somebody just going, ah, while they have internal monologue of how terrible the person and the evil villain in front of them is. You know, I would say it's better because you're playing through it rather than watching somebody do that. But I mean, it's just the same downsides a lot of open world RPGs have.
So what would you give it?
So that being said, if you are a fan of Dragon Ball Z, I still think this is probably a 3 breaching on a 4, where like if you find other things to do, like there's things that are better out there. But if you've got some time to square away to go revisit the childhood memories of Dragon Ball Z and see it in a really exciting new way, then definitely you should take some time out to play this game for sure. It's worth it. All right.
Okay.
So the other things I was checking out this week is there was a show that premiered on Netflix this last week that was instantly put in their top 10 and had a lot of like talk behind it, called Cursed. Did you guys hear about this or see this, any of this?
I saw a picture of it and it looked like something I wasn't interested in.
You're not a big fantasy guy, but the people behind this were pitching this as the next Game of Thrones, right?
Which season 1 Game of Thrones or season 8 Game of Thrones?
Well, here's what I keep saying to this. This show is to Game of
Answer
Thrones.
this question very carefully.
This show is to Game of Thrones what Twilight is to Blade.
Oh my
If
god.
that makes any sense to you.
I love
If that
Blade and
analogy
Twilight.
works. You love Twilight? That
No,
makes me sad.
Twilight's awful.
Yeah, so the show stars Catherine
Wait,
Langford.
hold on.
Yep.
Before you get into it.
Okay.
Do you remember when my wife made us go see Twilight and we sat in the front row and we kept just laughing the whole movie just because it's so stupid? And
I'm going to tell you right now, though, that was not me.
I'm pretty sure that was you.
No, because I've never seen Twilight, ever.
Oh, so you're married after that? Still married after that?
I swear it was Brad or Tito. I swear it was
had to have
Brad.
been Tito,
No,
'cause
it was
wasn't me.
you because
No,
only
no.
you and me were laughing that loud.
No, I've never seen it. I've never read it.
It wasn't the first one. It was like one of the second or third ones.
If it was me, I was
It was.
in
Oh,
a
it might
whole
have.
nother place.
It might have been. It might have been Zach. Actually,
Yeah,
now that I think
it couldn't
about
have been me. Couldn't have been me.
We ruined it for the whole theater.
Ruined it.
I didn't mean to do it, but it happened. It was just so ridiculously funny.
Okay, so
sorry. I'll cut that.
the show stars Catherine Langford, who most people know from 13 Reasons Why. Probably
Is she the girl who commits suicide?
I don't know. I've never seen that show. I think our listening base probably most remembers her from a scene from Endgame that for Thank Russo was deleted and not put in the movie, where she played an older version of Morgan Stark at the end of the movie after Tony sacrificed himself, I should say.
Spoilers.
Where,
Tony kills himself. Tony kills himself, guys. It's not a sacrifice. He could have lived. You know, he could have lived, but no.
And then the movie's about the 13 reasons why he killed himself.
Yeah, he killed himself, bringing it all together.
We've already talked about 13 Reasons Why, and Sauce's wife went to kill me when she heard my take on how bad that show is.
Yeah, I mean, nobody should glorify suicide like that. But anyway, so the other big name in the show
except for Tony Stark.
Yeah.
He's
So the other big name in the show
He's cool.
is Gustav Skarsgård, who plays Merlin in the show, because the show is based in I think it's technically Anglo-Saxon folklore that does King Arthur, right? That sound right? Britannia. I mean, and honestly, most of what I know from that is either from Monty Python and the Holy Grail or Sword in the Stone. That's really the only exposure I have to King Arthur and his knights. Is one of those two.
What about
So Gustav?
Transformers: The Last Night?
Oh no, I that had King Arthur was in that. Didn't even
Yeah.
remember that. So Gustav Skarsgård, Frank, you probably know him from Westworld. He played Carl Strand in Westworld, if that rings any bells. I mean, kind of a decent character, but then he was also in Vikings. So, but anyways, the show's pretty bad. Pretty bad. I'm just gonna go right into it, just from the get go. I mean, I honestly only was able to get through 2.5 episodes because it's like, and Frank Miller is attached. He's a writer.
Oh wow.
So you would think that they're pushing this, and it's still in Netflix top 10 currently. But then I went on IMDb while watching it, and the series tagline for the show is, "What if the sword chose a queen?" Which like is exactly like the same thing as Twilight, like trying to push female empowerment, but like doing it so poorly. And
What if
I know
your
there-
female lead character burned down an entire city with her dragons?
So it happens when you give them dragons.
they're 48 minutes a piece. It's an investment, and it's just not. I mean, it's a story of the magicals versus the non-magicals. You know.
Yeah, that's the story of my life.
Yeah, right. So I mean, I mean, I'm just gonna tell you right out. I think this show is a 1 out of 5. It's a total pass. I think that it will have its audience. You know, again, the same people who enjoyed Twilight in like a not really strong female character, but being pushed as a strong female character. It's not good, guys. I'm so sorry.
Glad you wasted your time and not me.
Yeah. That's what I'm here for.
No, that actually. So what you said is that like they're doing female empowerment like wrong or poorly. Like
Right.
I agree because I'm 100%, all about, women
Badass female characters.
badass female characters. Women
are the best.
are equal, and they're not represented enough. However, and I have daughters, and I want them obviously to have awesome, strong female role models. But it's great when they have their own developed story. It's not great when it's just like, well, we're gonna take this story and just gender swap the role. Like Last of Us 2, main character's female, story's awesome. Horizon Zero Dawn, main character's female, she's a badass. It's awesome. Not we're gonna do
Captain
Ocean's
Marvel.
11, but all girls, right?
Right. Or that even the little things like playing through Mass Effect, the first 3 games, as female Shepard, better experience than as male Shepard. She's a way cooler character, better voice actor. Same with the last Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I am so sorry for everyone that played as Alexei because playing as Cassandra was such a better experience. She was a great character. She was well-rounded, well voice acted, was absolutely crushed. And then the other side of it was a little lackluster, in my opinion. So, and I think there's this stigma that like this subculture of gamers don't really enjoy like badass women characters, but like I think that's so wrong. We've had Lara Croft forever. We've had so many that have just been amazing. We're just willing to call out bad ones very quickly.
I think you guys hit the nail on the head there. It's when the female characters when they seem forced is when they're terrible. Like in probably sacrilegious here. Like I like the movie Captain Marvel. I do not like the way Brie Larson is kind of just thrust into the role with very limited backstory, with just like this over cocky attitude that like you don't really. There's just not enough backstory to it. Like I'm excited about Black Widow coming out, because she has amazing backstory that's been built up over the course of the series. And, she's a powerful woman, and she deserved to have her story told in her own right. So, I think they could have done more with the Captain Marvel, especially with how cool of a character that is. and I just didn't like the way they did it. One that I do like, which is the DC universe, which I'm really just hoping they just don't ruin it, is Wonder Woman. I
Yeah.
really liked Wonder Woman as a movie.
Yes.
And I would love to see more of her. Just please don't interact her with the Justice League until you're ready to, because that sucks.
Well, yeah,
Well,
that's a
I mean,
whole other list of issues there. But yeah,
We've
I
gone
agree.
over that before.
1980, her next one that looks like they're just trying to make Taika's last movie, right? Can we all agree on that?
Yeah, that's
1984
definitely
just looks like they're trying to make Taika's movie.
big Ragnarok energy.
Yeah.
Weird to see Kristen Wiig as a villain too.
Yes. So, what's great about me watching Cursed for everybody listening is that instead of that, I can recommend something that everybody should watch that I don't think has gotten enough attention on Netflix. And it's a sketch comedy show from SNL alum Tim Robinson. It's called I Think You Should Leave. It's pretty short, man. It's only like 6 or 7 18-minute episodes. It's all sketches. A lot of SNL alums are attached. You'll see the Lonely Island guys on there. You'll see um, Vanessa Bayer, Cecily Strong, like people you recognize there. And then he's worked with Sam Richardson a lot too, if you know him. He was in Veep. Him and Tim Robinson did a show on Comedy Central that was very short lived called The Detroiters. That was kind of funny. But anyways, it's one of those sketch comedy shows where you'll know if the tone of their comedy, you'll like it in the first 10 minutes or it's not for you. Personally, the opening skit is like this, like, did this happen to you type lawyer infomercial. And that goes on and it's just absolutely hysterical. And Vanessa Bayer's first skit in the opening episode is hysterical as well. I mean, I give it a solid 4 out of 5. Like, I think everyone should watch it. They're doing season 2 right now. I know filming was paused due to COVID, but they're still expecting a 2020 release on it at some point. And like I said, it's not a huge time investment, but they're really funny skits that aren't connected to each other. It's just everything you watch has a lot of laughs. So that is something I think everybody needs to get hip to, because I quote it a lot and I'd like to not sound like a fool.
I can get hip to that. The last one that was recommended on this podcast I watched, which was Middle Ditch and Schwartz, which was
improv comedy.
phenomenal.
They're so good.
So I could get down on another improv kind of comedy show, sketch show.
Sketch show. They don't do improv, but like they talk about how some of these skits were written for Saturday Night Live, and he just didn't get them on. I'm gonna assume they're probably the ones that other SNL alums are in, like the one Vanessa Bayer does. Cecily Strong does this really great bit involving a magician.
I love magicians.
Yeah, Frank, I think you'd like it a lot. It's really good. So definitely, if you are looking for something that's not a heavy time or investment, and like really you only have to pay about 80% of your attention to, I Think You Should Leave on Netflix by Tim Robinson is something you need to watch. For sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out. Did you rate Cursed and I missed it?
It was a 1 out of 5 for me, and then I said that it'll have its audience. People will watch it, but I don't think those people have very good taste.
Oof, savage. All right, so so I checked out this week Unsolved Mysteries, the reboot for Netflix. Did you guys ever watch the original Unsolved Mysteries?
I probably caught it in like a waiting room, maybe.
Like the show, and like,
Right.
yeah, like, am I thinking the right one there?
So yeah, I mean, we were
One my wife watches
younger.
on like E or whatever.
Yeah, that's it. So it's now made for modern times. It's very well made. It's really well produced. I felt like I was watching like a documentary or like watching Making a Murderer. So each episode's a different case. They're gonna interview the people, go back, look at all the evidence, and kind of just present it to you as like, this is thought provoking. And at the end of the episode, they'll also put out like a blast. If you have any more information about this incident, send us messages. And I think it's really interesting that since the shows came out, I think the next day they got like 1,500 different tips just from the show, and 50 of them were credible to help solve some of these cases. But I'm watching the first episode, and it's interesting because they're setting it up to make it sound like this dude was he murdered? Did he commit suicide? He fell. The very first episode, there's a giant
Talk about
hole.
Epstein?
What?
Talking about Epstein? Was he murdered? Did he kill himself?
Well,
I'm sorry, continue.
We'll never know.
First off, no, we will know. We already know what the answer to that is. All right, he killed himself.
Definitive end of sentence.
Just kidding. Wrong. He was definitely murdered.
So it was weird because this guy, like, they set it up like clearly he probably didn't kill himself, but maybe like found out something he shouldn't. But they found his body like put through a hole in a roof, and it made it look like he jumped off this building, but like none of the evidence added up. But it was very intriguing watching the end of the episode. But then after you watch it, you're just like, man, I want to know like what happened. And then as you like go and do your research about these different cases, almost 90% of the time it turns out that it was just a very poorly run investigation, or like the cops didn't talk to the people that they definitely clearly should have talked to, and that's the mystery, and that's why it's unsolved. But there was one episode that was awesome, and it was about a giant county's experience with the UFO, that all these different people from around the county all saw this UFO at the same time, or different times throughout the night, and a couple of people say they got abducted, and all their stories match up, and they're just presenting the evidence. You can think about it however you want, but the way that it's filmed, it's like clearly something happened to these people and everybody's on the same page about it. That's the kind of stuff I was hoping to see, right? I don't want to see about a murder that never got solved because the police didn't do their job or, missed something. I want to see like paranormal, like, whoa, like this doesn't make sense. This is interesting. So the UFO episode, just watch that one, really. but it is the show is intriguing, especially if you like crime, drama, that kind of stuff. It's worth a watch, but not if you want any kind of satisfaction or payoff. So if you've got nothing to do and nothing to watch, and you've already watched all of our suggestions, get to it. Unless that's your jam, you're really gonna like it. If crime, drama, and this kind of stuff is your thing, you're gonna absolutely love it. It's really well made. But yeah, for me, I'll just give it a 3 out of 5. But the UFO episode is a 5 out of 5.
Is it hosted by the same guy who used to do it?
No, I don't know if he's still around. There's a narrator, but there's nobody that you see talking.
I mostly remember like not so much the show itself, but like spoofs of the show, but where they would still use the narrator. And he always does that like slow walk towards the camera as he's like explaining stuff. And he had that very unique look and voice that I'm not going to try to emulate because I don't remember enough of what it sounds like. I think I could just make something up, but it was all like, I like tons of things spoofed it. Yeah.
Sure.
Even Rick and Morty spoofed it once. When they did like real short mysteries, and they'd be like,
"Oh yeah,
see that guy? I killed him. Here's the knife I did it with."
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So like it's been spoofed plenty of times.
The judge just called. You have to stop eating shit.
Oh yeah, that was the interdimensional cable episode for sure.
That's the best episode. That's a defining episode.
I have that on the list.
Next week.
Next week.
Yeah. So Unsolved Mysteries.
Pickle Rick.
I also, because of the Xbox showcase, went back and checked out Halo Wars. So let me preface Halo Wars 2 by saying I love Halo. I'm a giant Halo fan. It's one of my most favorite games growing up. When everybody in high school was out, partying and hanging out with girls, I was at home playing Halo on Legendary.
Partying and hanging out with boys, playing Halo.
Nope, it was just me most of the time. So I love the Halo universe. I love the story. I love the lore that they've created. So much so that back then when they were coming out, I would read the books. I just wanted to know more about them. I love
Why don't you marry him?
I'm gonna jealous. They the the expanded universe through the comics and through the books is super super fascinating, especially how the flood, which is like the parasite in the game, totally like shapes the entire events of everything. So you get the story in the comics, you get the story in the books and in the games. So Halo 4 came out and the story was good. There, it went from Bungie to 343 Industries, so they passed the torch. It's their first game in the Halo universe, and the story was good. It was enjoyable. And then they made Halo 5, which multiplayer is amazing. It's still good. You can play it right now. Halo 5 multiplayer is so fun, and they perfected pretty much Halo 5 multiplayer. The story is terrible. It's so bad.
There's one thing they're missing from the multiplayer. Let's be honest. Portals.
So that's why now I'm going to talk about Splitgate. No, but so I played the first Halo Wars. I had never played the second Halo Wars, and I was reading about it, and it expands the story and actually is a huge setup to Halo Infinite. So I wanted to go back and play it just to get those story beats. So it's a real-time strategy game. You're looking down on a field and you're commanding all your troops. So you build your little guys, you build up your base, and you send them out in the map to go attack the other the Covenant, or it's the Banished. So they introduced the Banished, which is going to be the bad guys of Halo Infinite. So that's why I wanted to play and learn more about it. But I played it on Xbox, and playing a real-time strategy game on Xbox is not fun. I should have played it on PC where I could have moved the mouse and clicked around. It's a lot of juggling. You have to go back and forth between the map as quickly as you can and try to move all your troops at the same time. It's not enjoyable. They did a really good job of making that type of game on the Xbox. And if you're a fan of real-time strategy games, I think you would really enjoy it. It's really well made. But the cutscenes are like top-notch, like all-out movie-level CGI, amazing-looking cutscenes. So I don't even think I'm going to finish the game because it's just so rough and tedious to get through. I'm just going to watch all the cutscenes to learn what I can to get set up for Halo.
Game movie.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Did you check to see if that particular game on Xbox was keyboard and mouse friendly?
I didn't, but I'm sure that it is.
But Game Pass.
The reason I chose to play it on Xbox is because it's just so much more comfortable to sit on my couch than to sit at the computer. I sit at the computer all day at work,
You need to get a more comfy chair then, bro.
Standing desk. That's
I play my Xbox and my PC in my office, like as you guys see here.
Oh, don't show us that.
Whoa, Hummer, put your pants back on.
I am now sawing Frank in half.
Guys, don't talk about my chair that way.
But I ran into the same problem when I was trying to play the Halo Wars games or other RTSs on the Xbox. Like, it's so tedious to try to control that when you have ever played it on a computer. It bounced me out of it very quickly. Very quickly.
You have to be a diehard Halo fan if you're not a real-time strategy game fan to be able to play and power through this game. And I am, and I'm not. I'm still not going to finish it. So
what a conflict.
It's really well made. They did a good job. Not my jam or enjoyable because of what the gameplay style. So I'm going to give it, for me, a 2 out of 5.
Is that the phrase of the day? Not my jam? I've heard that like 6 times today in tonight's recording.
I'm bringing it back.
Bringing it back.
Yeah, apparently Frank's other not jam. Sorry. Apparently Sauce's other not jam is Call of Duty. Too cool.
It's too real.
It's too real. Takes me back. Takes me back.
What are you gonna do when you get home from Nam?
Shit.
So, Hummer, Any questions you have for us?
Oh, there's something I did forget to mention. I actually did finish Parks and Recreation.
Oh yeah, let's hear about that. We
And,
love parks.
I actually think they're one of their episodes that's just like the greatest of all time is the Go Big or Go Home, when Leslie tries to convince Chris and Ben to give the Parks Department more money, and when she fails to do so, she enlists Lamb. But that's where we get the Ron Swanson Pyramid of Greatness, the first reference to it.
Meat. Woodworking.
Basically, the side story is that him and I can't think of his name, Chris Pratt's Andy, are both coaching a little
Basketball team. Yeah.
And it's so amazing. It's so incredible.
I think my favorite line from Chris Pratt in that episode is when the one kid is laying down. He says, "You tired or are you hurt? Which one? Oh, you're just tired. Just keep on doing you."
I love Tom Haverford so much.
God.
I just want a pair of those dope ass
good.
pants.
Tommy needs a mango.
See, that could be a good segue into what else we want to talk about. But how are we doing on time?
Oh, we're out. I just wanted to see if we wanted to explain Cyberpunk to Hummer or not.
Capitalism, God's way of determining who is smart and who is poor.
I think we could save Cyberpunk for the next time we get more content from them, because we haven't gotten anything past the first gameplay release that they gave to those couple streamers, the first 4 hours. So I think we could save that.
The facial hair, full, thick, and square, nothing sculpted. If you have to sculpt it, that probably means you can't grow it. Friends, 1 to 3 is sufficient. Property rights, they exist. Do not let them be taken away from you.
Are we still on Ron Swanson's Pyramid of Swanson?
Building walls makes you strong. Defending them makes you even stronger.
Oh, that's poignant.
I'm not a sore loser. I just enjoy winning. And when I don't, I get furious. All right. So thanks for listening to what we thought was worth sinking your time into. Hit us up on the social medias at Timesink Pod and check us out on any of your favorite podcasting devices or sources. And we'll see you next week. Brought to you by
Abba Zabba.
Big
Game Pass.
Big League Chew.
Big League Chew. It's the chewiest.
If you want gum that tastes like ass for a whole 10 seconds, Big League Chew.
It's been in your ass.
Brought to you by games that screw you in the ass.